lot of crazy stuff we're discussing in there. Ignoring me won't work forever. I hope you realize that.
You want my thoughts?
It would be a nice change.
Fine then. What the heck was that? Bringing up Luciano. Are you trying to get me killed?
I had no idea you two even knew each other.
You're setting me up! I don't know why you've dragged it out this long, but you're doing just that. I've got no chance in this, so just get the hell out of my face and finish already.
I'm working my butt off in there. Maybe it's not for you, but it's working. The least I can get from you is a good luck.
You hardly need it.
Did you order Luciano to carry out those assassinations?
If I say no, you wouldn't believe me, will you? Not after all that. It doesn't matter now. I'm a dead man either way, thanks to you.
I'm not scheming against you. If you're innocent... And he's tuned me out once more. I thought once the prosecution dropped the killer bomb, it would all be over. Chrissy, I have an apology. I made a promise to you that if I ever thought he was guilty, I would quit. Are you breaking it? So far, he's been suspicious, and there's plenty of evidence, but, well, there's still a lot that's unanswered. There are too many questions remaining. This whole thing with MN6 and the Rivales family, it's affecting a bunch of people. The killer had nothing to do with it, but somebody needs to find the truth. And you think that somebody is you? At this point, it might have to be. That's all I needed to hear. I'm with you to the end, no matter what. I can't give up. Not yet. I won't lay you down, Jimmy. You were willing to go as far as you did. I won't let it go to waste.
Order! Court is in session now. You must be the witness.
That I am. That I am. Shall I state my name and job for you?
Please do. Glad to see you're prepared.
I've been in many a court. Even after all these years, it feels just like yesterday.
Ah, so you're really prepared.
The witness is a former defense attorney. I'd be disappointed if he wasn't.
Objection.
Hold up, ma'am. I can introduce myself just fine. You might have had some immediate witnesses, but I'm not the same. Please give me the same respect I'd give you. Please continue. My name is Finnegan Hood. I guess I was an attorney at some point. But those days are long gone and not worth speaking of.
What do you do now?
Now? I guess it's just me and my daughter. I do the odd job here and there, but I've got enough saved up I can make it by. Thought about taking up piano playing I did. I heard there's a club with a new opening. Wouldn't that be ironic? Mr. Hood, speaking of your daughter, you two live next door to the defendant, correct? Aye. We're the only two houses there. Just the three of us living in a lot. We don't get too many visitors. The two houses are rather isolated, are they not? Yes, yes. We're a ways from the big city. You have to go out of your way to get you there. Jameson had an apartment in the city. Why would he come out so far? To meet with somebody who lived there, of course. The suspect. Yesterday's witness confirmed this. Aye. Mighty suspicious Gladys Porter would be there. Mr. Hood? Porter shouldn't have been there without reason, aye. She was up to something. Witness, you've been left out of the proceedings until now. How did you come by that day? Oh, well, it was Mr. Wright who told me. I know from him that Miss Porter witnessed the Rosencrantz murder. Yeah! There's a reason we wanted to keep him out of the loop. Did you ever think this might alter his testimony today? It seemed like a good idea at the time. Better than lying to him. Ah! And you wonder why I always kept you off my crime scenes.
At least the witness knows the truth. You haven't tried to mislead him. But you better hope this doesn't make problems for us. I'll have my eye on you today.
I'll keep that in mind. If I lied, he'd still have checked, and then I'd be in some other sort of trouble. Should have known he'd get the answers eventually. Now it's biting me in the rear. The witness's testimony will cover the murder of Virgil Black. He did not see the actual death, but his testimony will still be significant. I'm sure you don't need me to instruct you what to do from here. Not at all, miss. It's all be easy. Mr. Hood used to be an attorney like myself. I don't know how good he was, but I shouldn't underestimate him. I know he's a crafty man. I was inside that night with my daughter. I heard some people talking out in the woods and thought it was odd. When I went to check, I heard two people next to a bush. They were two men. I didn't want to get involved in no dirty business, so I got right out of there. The next day, I went to where they were and found the grave. Two men. One of them was my client. It was mighty dark, so I couldn't tell. I wouldn't lie and say I know it were him. A bloomin' fool lied, that be. He'd catch me right out. It's reasonable to assume they were the killer and the victim. That's supposition and you know it, Francisca. Oh. Witness, when did you see this? It was the 9th of September, I believe. That's the date Mr. Black was killed. Virgil Black was murdered that same night and buried in that same spot. Who's supposing now, Phoenix Wright? It were a murder, right? The body was there in the hole when I checked.
How come you didn't tell anybody about this for a whole month?
He thinks he can guess why, Your Honor. He never is an organized crime. When a body shows up, it'd be a mistake to get involved. You've come clean now, so nobody will blame you. You saw him with his killer, and that is all that matters. Weren't you just arguing that nobody but the killer would know the location of the grave? We did mention that, but as you'll find, Mr. Hood's alibi is rather impeccable. He simply cannot be the killer. Well, I think it weakens your case. Is that why you didn't want Mr. Hood testifying? Oh, don't harass the lady, Mr. Wright. She's correct. The police have spoken to me and Jane, and we've checked out. I wasn't gone near long enough to commit a murder and hide the body. So don't try and say I'm the baddie, sir. It won't work. A month is a long time. A lot could have happened in that period. Aye, such a shame that is. Wish I could tell you more. Guess you'll have to prove it all the hard way. That's why Francisca didn't want him speaking. She has just as little idea of what he might say as I do. I don't know what sort of game Mr. Hood's playing, but this is clever of him. I notice he's not trying to accuse Mr. Isarian at all, just a mysterious figure. By admitting he doesn't know who he saw, he can claim ignorance no matter what goes down. He's going to be careful not to leave any contradictions. Come to think of it, I don't know if I see any. You look stumped. Mind if I help? What did you have in mind? Something along the lines of this. Is that? Yep. I swiped it before we left today. Thought it might come in handy. I tried it once before when he wasn't looking. I found out I have the same ability he does. Isn't that crazy? Oh, I really should get around to telling them one of these days. Be careful with it. That's one thing we don't want to lose. It's not my fault he doesn't notice when you take it right off his arm. At least I'm giving it back. Imagine if he ran into a real thief. I'll just watch the witness and point out any strange movements he's making. How hard can it be? Not seeing other options right now. Why don't you give it a shot? Ha! Trucy mode, activate. Alright, I think I remember this part. That's an interesting way to say it. You heard them by the bush? Did indeed. Their voices are burned into my memory since it was about all I could tell of them. Would you say either of their voices was distinct? Aye, I can tell them apart. Rather well, too. Couldn't put my finger on it at the time. Something about those two chaps meeting by that bush just set off alarms for me. That was it. That was his nervous twitch. I just have to show him the bracelet and find it. Glad I know how this works now. And what the twitch is.
Mr. Hood, throughout your whole testimony, your eyes have been darting back and forth. It almost seemed like you weren't sure.
Did I? Well, me lass, you can't ever be 100% certain. It was mighty dark it was. I could barely see my hand in front of me face.
That's funny. There was one point where your eyes weren't shifty. When he mentioned the two men.
Aye?
When he said that, you looked directly at the defense bench. Right at me.
Aye, suppose I was. Didn't even notice until he just pointed it out. I don't see what it means. Why do you think I'd be staring at you? Doesn't mean anything.
I think it does. You were reconsidering something. You were staring because...
Alright. This one's the right one. Already did that one.
You thought you'd seen me before, and you were trying to remember where.
I have seen you. Just yesterday, in fact.
Yes, but not how I mean. You saw me at the murder. I killed Mr. Black.
Trucy!
Control your daughter, Phoenix Wright. Some people might actually believe her.
Ah! Why am I the one getting punished?
Stop joking around and get back to the point.
You reminded me. How so?
Well, because I'm a girl.
Aye, you are. Didn't I say they were both men?
That's right. But what if one of them wasn't?
That sounds a little silly now, doesn't it? How could I confuse a grown man for a teenage girl?
You said it was dark. So dark you could barely see in front of you. The rest of your testimony focuses on the sounds you heard.
And if I couldn't see so well, how would I know who it was?
By her voice, of course. Even if you couldn't see them, you could hear them. You weren't sure you really saw two men and had to reassure yourself by looking over at me.
Think so, do you? What makes you so sure of it was What makes you so sure it were a woman's voice I heard?
Well, it's a 50-50 shot. And I can't think of any other reason you'd be staring at me while talking about her.
So sure are you? But yes, you're right. It's a 50-50, isn't it? Maybe you're correct, Miss Trucy. I'll entertain you on that. I'd say I can tell a man's voice from a girl's, or perhaps not. When you get down to it, it doesn't change a thing. Not sure if I 100% agree with your police work there, Mr. Hood. Aye? If one person was a woman, it changes a lot. You know what? I think so too. I like your daughter's theory that it were a woman. I'll change my statement to that.
You don't believe they were both men?
Could be. Might not have been. I couldn't say just based on a voice. I briefly heard over a month ago. Miss Trucy did notice me eyes wandering. Could be I thought it subconsciously. But well, we'll say it were a woman, eh? I'm not afraid to take that chance. Let's just see what her idea leads, shall we? Thank you, Trucy. I'll take it from here.
Glad to help.
Did you recognize either of them? Aye. Thought I said that. The man? No. The woman? Don't rightfully know. Never seen before, aye. Not that I can see well anyway.
We can assume who both were. The killer and the victim.
The killer and the victim? Aha. Got you, Mr. Hood. You know the thing about the suspect and the victim? They were both men. It would seem so. Yet you've just labeled one of them as female. Something's not lining up. Ah, I see. That's a contradiction right there, it is. That creepy grin. It has to be him saying, "You've just activated my trap card." Now, remembering memories are not so clear. But Miss Trucy says one of the suspects might have been a woman. And she's right. 50% chance. If we do believe one was a woman, we'd have to assume the man of the two were the victim, aye? Only logical.
The man was the one found buried, so yes.
Aye, and who does that leave us? The killer?
The defendant is not a woman. Not even close.
No, he isn't, is he? Look at it like that, and it must be someone else. As I recall, the police think the same person killed the two people. Why was that?
The two bodies were hidden together.
Not definitive, but it makes sense. Too much coincidence otherwise. Aye, it must be someone who knew about both murders.
Yes, that would make sense.
I told him that in his house. He's using what I told him to make this argument. So let's work backwards, instead of asking who knew about Guildenstern. We should look at anybody who might be linked to your Rosencrantz. Seems to me someone with his must be the one. Both murders? Rosencrantz? Oh no. See it, do ya? There's a woman involved with the Rosencrantz murder then. Only one. Miss Porter didn't kill anyone.
She did lie about the crime. Couldn't she be covering for herself?
Seems suspicious to me, Your Honor. I know my neighbor and Miss Jameson aren't female. You're just accusing her because she's a woman? That makes no sense. Not because she's a woman, Mr. Wright. Because she's a woman who witnessed and lied about Mr. Jameson's death. If you can pull out another lass who was around for that, I'll concede.
But there wasn't. She's the only one.
And it must be her. You're the one who said I saw a woman. I'm just following the logic path. If you back down and decide we're a man after all, I'll stop going for Miss Porter.
Stop this at once! The prosecution's case is against the defendant and no one else.
Aye, it could still be him. It doesn't matter to me who we choose to pursue. So, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Did I or didn't I hear two men? If I say no, he keeps going for Miss Porter. I know she didn't do it. If I say yes, then Miss Porter is clear, but Mr. Yossarian is the only suspect. I'm back where I started, and Francisca won't let Hood continue after this. The only way for me to avoid a dead end is to play along. Well, Mr. Hood, I'm inclined to say no.
What?
You know I won't let you end the trial yet. I have to prevent it somehow. You could save yourself a whole lot of trouble. Just say Edith's the killer and it's over. Not going to happen. I'm not giving up either.
You? How dare you? Your Honor, silence him this instant!
Overruled. The witness may speak. We have a new suspect in addition to our first. A suspicious woman with Guildenstern complicates everything. Especially after how Miss Porter led us on the other day.
Everything I told him is coming back. He's using it all against me.
Think about that. It might actually work in your favor. He might be planning this all on the fly.
He's done a pretty good job if he's just improvising.
So far. But you don't believe Miss Porter's the killer, do you? Not after what she told us in the detention center.
There's no way it was her.
Then maybe you finally have somebody worth defending. You have to keep pressing this man until he folds. He's trying to get her for some reason.
Somebody to defend. I can work with that. She's not here to see it, but I won't ignore this accusation. I can't. Your Honor, it couldn't be Gladys Porter. Stubborn boy. Don't let Miss Porter distract you from the real goal, and I'll end this for her. I'll defend whoever needs defending. Right now, that's her. You say Miss Porter had to kill Black and Jameson? Well, she lacked something very important for both. A motive. The running theory is that both incidents are connected to the Ravalis family. A good deal of evidence so far seems to indicate that's true. Personally, I'm inclined to agree with the prosecution on that much.
I see. How does that concern Gladys Porter?
She would never side with the Ravalis family, not even if her life depended on it. Ah, there it is. They were responsible for her sister's death. She's devoted to stopping them.
Another vigilante? Don't we have enough of those already?
Are you certain of this?
Ask Detective Waters. Her sister happens to be his late wife.
Ha! Take that, Finnegan Hood, you fool. The killer couldn't possibly be her. It was the suspect.
I'm the fool, am I? At least I'm not relying on her circumstantial motives to support myself. Is there a really solid proof of this being the Ravalis clan?
We have a calling card and a letter.
Oh, and I suppose they were found beside the victim? Did the family admit to it all? Forgive me if I'm wrong, and please do correct me.
No.
Of course not. They'd only put the card out for a public murder. and the way the body was buried, you know the killer wanted to hide it. I'm no betting man, but I'd wager good money the card was found with me neighbour.
Yes, they were in his home.
Ah, then no one can definitively say they were the culprits. I have to do better than that, ma'am. No one could say Ms. Porter didn't have a motive, can they? What about the shovel? We don't have her fingerprints. How would she get that? Well now, I don't believe you'd be asking that if you had anybody's prints beside the suspects. Tell me now, do you? No, just his. Then you could use that exact same argument for any possible killer who isn't me neighbour. If you assume he's innocent, somebody must have broken into his home, stole the shovel, and planted it. Why? To frame him, I presume. Committing perjury during his trial? Sounds like a grudge, yes sir. You're so confident just because you might have seen a woman? It weren't me who thought up the idea. We've got two suspects, lad. Me neighbour and Porter. Somebody's a murderer. Somebody has to answer for it all.
Any accusation warrants looking into. Can you back this up apart from mere speculation?
If you want me to extrapolate, I'll gladly oblige. Francisca wants Mr. Usarian guilty. Hood's aiming for an entirely different person. And I'm defending them both. Are all the cards on the table yet? Now, I didn't know neither the killer nor victim, but logic says who they were. I heard their voices earlier and went to check who was out in the woods. They were right at the spot where the body was found. Prosecution says both cases are connected, so Rosencrantz's killer must have been there. Among suspect, victim, and witness, Porter's the only witness. It has to be her.
I'd see. The prosecution did explain the two cases must be connected. It would only be natural to have the same suspect.
Ms. Porter was never accused of anything more than perjury. Why not? People don't lie to a court unless they got something to hide. Do you ever think her motive may have been less than noble?
How does the prosecution respond?
This is ridiculous. Gladys Porter is not the one on trial.
I'm sure you've seen your share of witnesses found to be the culprit.
That is true. We won't know until we've delved further. Does Ms. Porter have an alibi for the Guildenstern murder?
I'm not sure. We've only just got his autopsy completed.
Bailiff, please contact Detective Waters and have him bring her here. We may need her. Right away, Your Honor. Now, let's continue with the witness's statement.
This is absurd.
Examine all angles, prosecutor. It's the only way to be certain. The defense, it seems, wants to consider a female culprit. But not Ms. Porter. You changed the circumstances and now I'm showing you where it leads. I'll give up on it when you do. Come to think of it, it didn't matter if he saw a man or a woman. If it wasn't Miss Porter, he might be accusing Mr. Usarian or anyone else. Is he playing this as he goes, or is there a bigger plan? And why is he doing it? Refresh my memory. How did you come to this conclusion? Well, my friend, there's only so many suspects it could be. I saw two people at what's later a murder scene. We can only assume they'd be Black and his killer. The murderer must have been connected to the murderer must be connected to the more recent case. The murderer, that is, if she were a female, must be Gladys Porter. Are you satisfied? A little. But why don't we talk some more about the witness, you. Let's hear about what you saw and how you saw it. Well, Ruby Hoosie. Alright. I witnessed it all from a safe distance anyway. From a safe distance away. Didn't recognize either of them. Wherever he's standing. Show me a map and I'll point it right out. Amongst the 3 trees here. Off the side from the trail.
Those were where Mr. Porter said she hid.
Was she? I suppose it's a decent hiding spot. Miss Porter followed the victim there. How did you end up in the middle of the forest? Situation may have been a make similar. I heard the voices in the woods and went to check. Just followed the trail till I got there. You heard them from your home? Those woods are very quiet. With a window open, you can hear anything. Anything, huh? You couldn't hear those voices from your home. It simply wasn't possible. Excuse me? What makes you say that? Sound travels in the forest. Yes, but hearing human voices over a kilometer? I don't think so.
A kilometer?
That's the distance from his house to the crime scene. Even if they were screaming, they'd need megaphones for him to hear them.
Objection!
Aye, the distance is far. The two must have passed by me home. I followed the noise till they stopped by the bush. Are you sure? That goes against what you said earlier. They were already in the woods, according to you at least.
What are you driving at?
Simple. Mr. Hood wasn't where he says he was.
Objection!
I found the body and gave you this testimony, so I saw something. If you think I'm lying, just say it. Where do you think I was? You were already right where you said you were. The crime scene.
Ha! That's what this outburst was for? I could have told you that.
That's right. He was in the woods the entire time.
Order! Witness, were you out there even before you heard the voices?
Aye. I was in the woods.
And you lied!
No. Just confused events is all. That was all a month ago. Having a hard time piecing it together in my mind.
Then you just forgot?
That'll be it, lass. Don't you worry. It's all coming back as I speak. Your alibi is that you were inside with Jane. We were. I told her to stay put inside, and she did. Can't really remember why I left the house, but I wasn't out for long. I came right back after seeing what I did. Jane was still there. I weren't enough time to go all the way out and back and commit a murder. Ask her.
I see. The court will make a note of this.
You sneaky... How did you get out of that one? Alright, and then... The killer. Let's hear how you arrived at that specific conclusion. Well, if it behooves you. Alright. You're just going after her because she witnessed the other crime? She was there, lad. She must be considered as a suspect. And she committed perjury too. Mighty suspicious if you ask me.
We have a mountain of evidence against the defendant. He's guilty, no matter if she lied or not.
Miss, I believe you need me here because you don't have any evidence for Guildenstern. You don't know your man killed Virgil Black, correct?
Ridiculous! You can't connect her to the crime.
She's linked with Rosencrantz. By your own logic, the murders had the same culprit, so she must be suspected. Really, man? How often have I got to say it?
Why, you...
Ms. Von Karma, please. No need to be so angsty. The logic holds. Perhaps we'd better continue to the next point.
Alright, so, it's the other one. What? Not many people come to my area, you know. It's not paranoia, just being sure there's no trouble. You saw them speaking and left almost right away. Then the next day you came back. Why? It gave me a bad feeling. I knew something was brewing between the two. I wanted to know why they'd been there, but only after they left. Didn't want to get involved and just make it worse. You did that all based on a hunch? Well, a bloke died, so it looks like my intuition was correct. You were curious enough to come back and dig up a body. Must have been a really strong bad feeling, if that's all it was. What were they discussing? Oh, I couldn't say. I couldn't hear none of it. But you saw their silhouettes. Could you tell anything from the body language? Both man and woman were standing around the bush. It appeared the man was trying to be all intimidating and the like. He was shouting a bit. I couldn't make it out. Truth be told, I was more worried for her than him. But the lady wasn't phased none. Shouting? Intimidating? Mr. Black must have been pretty wound up. That's odd. What happened next? I was about to step in when I got this sinking feeling at the pit of my stomach. You know, I had to bolt right out of there and none of us might have lived.
All of you?
I just felt bad. Real bad. like, intervened would get me and the lady killed. And the man did die, didn't he?
That sounds very frightening.
Virgil Black was a serial killer. I don't see him massacring innocent people for no reason. This doesn't sound like Sir Galante at all. There we go, pressing the first one. About the victim. Let's hear how you arrived at that specific conclusion. Well, if it behooves you. Alright. The victim, your Geldestern, was Virgil Black, as the lady prosecutor stated. Could you describe the man you saw? He was a big one, alright. Kinda funny looking. Not much else I can say. Can't recall if he was the same one I found while digging in the hole. It was mighty dark, so I couldn't make out too many details. You're not doing a very good job of proving your point. Sorry. You know what Virgil Black looked like. Don't watch too much news to know. But I'd say if he's the man I found, he'd look like that. Wish I could tell you more. Really, I do. There's no arguing that Mr. Black was buried there. But can we be sure that Mr. Hood ever saw him alive? Alright. So... save. Where do I present this autopsy again? He was already stabbed in the lung. So do I present this? Oh, okay. Your description of Mr. Black sounds very off. What made you so afraid of him? Well, you're a serial murderer, weren't he? I didn't recognize him at the moment. Some people just have a spooky demeanor. Not this man at that moment. You claim the man was standing, shouting, and being intimidating. These all seem very strange. Mr. Black's autopsy states he'd already been stabbed in the lung. It wasn't fatal. If you were stabbed in the lung, wouldn't you find it hard to speak at all, much less shout? If anything, he should have been lying on the ground, gasping for breath.
What do you say this suggests?
If Mr. Hood's memories are correct, there's only one conclusion to draw. It was not Mr. Black that he saw.
The victim was buried at precisely that spot. Who else could it have been?
Honestly, it could have been anybody.
Anybody?
Why do we assume nobody else could pass through the area? Nobody has claimed to see the moment of death. The witness has yet to give a satisfactory description of who he saw. Hey, I haven't. But the body were there the following day. Somebody killed the man. Somebody. Mr. Black couldn't do any shouting, so who did you see? There must have been another man who hadn't been stabbed. He must be a suspect too. Ah, there's the beauty. A man who might be the killer. Do you suppose he's also the killer of Rosencrantz too? That might be Mr. Usarian.
The prosecution is fine with our original theory. The witness saw the defendant instead.
The ambiguity is killing me. Mr. Hood, something just struck me. It's unlikely that either of the people you saw were who you claimed they were. Not only is there a good chance you didn't see Mr. Black, but you didn't even witness the actual attack. Who's to say he wasn't dead long before you got there?
Who else would it have been? With the body found there, it couldn't be anybody but the killer and victim.
Maybe. Maybe not. As the witness has so insistently pointed out, his memories might be wrong. He did manage to somehow forget that he was already in the woods when he stumbled across them.
Do you think there's something wrong with that?
Why was he out there to begin with? Witness, could you please answer that? Couldn't rightly say. I doubt you were just wandering around in the woods for no reason. There's only so many reasons you would be outside that late. I think, when you really get down to it, there's only two reasons you'd enter the woods. Either it was for your own leisure, or there was some more pressing matter. A need or a want? And which do you suppose it was? Your testimony thus far suggests you and your daughter were winding down for the night. On top of that, you just had a big mess in your home which needed cleaning up. Now was not the time to be wandering about outside just because. You left your home because it was absolutely necessary. You needed to find something. Don't be a silly lad. There weren't nothing to find out there. When you were in the woods, you heard two voices. Why did you go to them? Doesn't really matter now, does it? I'd say it does. I think you recognized one voice, and it was just who you were searching for.
He was looking for a person?
That's right, and I think I knew who it was. All these cleverly hidden lies are about to unfold. I haven't figured out. Mr. Hood used to be a defense attorney. He's just doing his job. He's defending somebody. That's why he's going after Miss Porter. He doesn't want me to even consider pursuing the person he saw. With that in mind,
Who would you have been searching for?
obviously, you did report the murder for a whole month. Now you're pursuing Miss Porter, just because Trucy thinks you might have seen a woman. But really, you just wanted me to back down from a female suspect. You thought you knew the young woman you saw that night, and it wasn't Gladys Porter. You're trying to protect her.
Objection.
Out with it! Say it, damn you! You were looking for your daughter. You saw her speaking to a strange man. Then the next day, you found the grave. It doesn't take an Einstein to connect these dots. Gobshite. It weren't her I saw. Then why did you leave your home to go into the woods? Can't say I recall the reason. But do I need one? I can leave my house just as I please. I wasn't even gone that bloody long. Your alibi and Jane's rest on the assumption that you two were together. If you weren't at home, neither of you is cleared. You or she could have been anywhere, even speaking to our mystery man. You bloomin' twit. You can't just pull nonsense out of your arse. The two of us can tail no one. You're just grasping.
I must concur. His daughter's statement to the police closely matches his own. Are you sure about this?
Their statements would match if they conspired together. We know Mr. Hood was doing something out there. At the very least, this means his daughter was unsupervised the whole time he was gone. At most, she might not have been home to begin with.
Objection.
I won't stand for none of this, no sir. We've got our alibis and you can't accuse neither of us. I even told you about it the whole story the other day. Jane and me had been having a late meal when she spilled something. We had to clean it up. It took us a wee bit to clean the spot. I cut myself while I was doing it. I left briefly for some reason. Can't recall why. But I was only gone for a few minutes. Just enough to see those two and run back. When I got back, my daughter was still happily cleaning our mess. And that's all I've got to say. Jane just told the same to the police.
The prosecution will confirm this. Both stories matched up well. At least in any matter related to the murder.
What's this about an injury? Where did you get hurt?
Cut me hand. It was just a wee accident. No need to worry. It weren't that bad. Yesterday you said a glass bottle of grape juice shattered and that's how it happened.
Phoenix Wright, what are you talking about? We all know what was in that bottle.
Exactly. Grape juice. The contents don't matter much. Yes, the bottle broke and I kept myself helping clean it.
I would imagine you threw out the actual bottle quite some time ago.
Of course. That's what you do with broken glass, isn't it? That'd be mighty dangerous leaving it out.
A month's a long time for evidence to disappear. It's just Mr. Hood's word to go on. But if they're conspiring, of course he'd say the same as his daughter.
Jane's told the same story. If they match up, it'll be hard to fight. Disappearing evidence. Is that what happened? There certainly isn't much to go on. Juice bottles aren't known for breaking easily. They're sturdier than you'd think, probably for this very reason. She would have had to put quite a bit of force into it. You say it was intentional? Well, I don't know what to tell you. It happened. An accident? Or Jane getting ready for an Old West style brawl? In the context of this case, it might not matter. They have an alibi either way. And likewise for Miss Porter. Oh, better move on for now. How bad was it? Nothing I couldn't treat myself. Didn't need no stitches or the like. Well, we were a pretty nasty cat, eh? Did you go to a hospital? Nah, not too fond of those places. Besides, there were no need to. I patched myself up just fine. Not the best work, but I got the job done. There wouldn't be a hospital report or any paper trail for the wound. But if it really wasn't that bad, there would be no need for it. You just forgot? It were last month. You don't remember every little detail from that long ago? Seeing two people at a murder scene seems important enough to remember. And it was? But it right out overshadowed what came before. Everything before I left me home is blank. Nothing matters compared to a murder. You at least remembered cutting yourself. Aye, because it was bloomin' painful. Isn't getting anything useful out of him. Better continue on. You had to walk a kilometer and back. That only took a few minutes. The way home I weren't just walking, let me tell you. All in all, I was only outside for 15-20 minutes. That doesn't give me enough time to kill a chap, clean the mess, and bury him. And Jane was in the house when I left there, and there when I got back. Just ask her. And before you say anything more, I denied that I was out looking for her. I think I'd remembered something like that, I would. You'd have shown some evidence already if it were true, wouldn't you, Phoenix Wright? We don't know nearly enough about how Virgil Black died, nor do we have the evidence to prove anything. Any evidence at all. You just left her at home, all alone. Maybe it weren't the smartest choice, but she's a grown lass. She can handle herself. We live alone, so I don't normally need to worry about her. Besides, I'm sure you've done a few things you shouldn't have as well.
A few doesn't even begin to cover it.
Thank you for that, Francisco. You have no way of knowing what Jane was up to the whole time you were gone. I suppose not. She's a teenage girl. She can take care of herself for half an hour. Anyhow, you have to be mighty fast and sneaky to get to the murder scene ahead of me. That's what really matters, don't it? Funny, I recall this being a trial for murder, not poor parenting. You wouldn't have to be fast at all if she was already out there. But is there any way to prove that? And once again, I can't find anything. Hey, there's the face of a man who knows he's beaten.
If the defense has no further questions, I will have to assume they cannot disprove the alibi. Mr. Hood and his daughter were not apart long enough for there to be any doubt as to their innocence. Further inquiry must be made into Ms. Gladys Porter.
How absurd! The defendant was the only suspect until this man took the stand.
He is your witness. Did you not know what he might say?
He's unpredictable. He must be removed immediately.
Denied. We've yet to find anything contradicting his argument. If somebody other than the defendant is guilty, then so be it. There is nothing more to discuss.
Ms. Porter's not gonna like this. I'm right, and these alibis are a sham. Something must be off. We need some solid evidence to break through them. But the only thing which might clear that up would be... It's a long shot. Mr. Hood, would you mind showing the court where you hurt yourself? It would be my pleasure, lad. Here you are. Take a look at it.
The witness wasn't lying about that. We checked. There's clearly a cut on his hand, likely from broken glass. He really did get hurt, but that proves his story.
Aye, and that cements our innocence. You must give up on it.
Oh ho ho! Now I see why you all love to shout like that. Ahem. I'm sorry. But I did have a question. I hope none of you mind. Witness, didn't you say you were hurt over a month ago? Why is your hand still wrapped up?
Your Honor, that's...
Actually, a really good question.
Oh, you thought so? Thank you.
Witness, why do you still have it bandaged?
That's an excellent point. I think I might have an idea why his hand is still bandaged. It was a nice try, Mr. Hood, but this was one lie you couldn't keep hidden. The witness himself told us the cut wasn't serious. Only a hospital where the injury would still be visible or in need of bandages. Mr. Hood, did you think you were being sneaky when you concocted your little tale? Concocted? Tale? Surely you're not suggesting I do anything devious. Like if it was to give your daughter an alibi. I have no doubt you really did cut yourself on some broken glass. But it wasn't the night Virgil Black was murdered.
Objection.
A perjurer, is it? Is that what you're saying I am?
Unfortunately, Finnegan Hood, a man with your record cannot claim to be honest.
Record? What record? Ms. Von Karma, what are you saying?
The witness used to be an attorney. He is no longer because he was disbarred for evidence forgery. He has a history of lying in court, and now he's doing it again.
You discredit your own witness.
You're doing that yourself. I've known this whole time the cut in your hand couldn't be for more than a few days old. I kept silent about it to see what you would try to do. You disappointed me.
Well, if it wasn't a month ago, when did it happen?
The prosecution says just a few days ago. Mr. Hoods told us a lot about a month back, so we know he was plenty busy. But looking back on it, isn't that strange? Why have we heard hardly anything from him about this event? Crud. I forgot. When you cut yourself, what do you need to do?
Well, I suppose you need to wash it, sterilize it so it didn't get infected, and of course wrap it up well.
And then you need to clean up whatever caused it. In this case, it was a broken bottle full of messy liquid. It must have gone everywhere. And yet, when I went to his home, I didn't see anything. It must have taken quite a while getting all those stains out. Maybe an entire night? Aye, seems about right. You do have an alibi, I can't deny that. But it's for the wrong murder. Blast it! You cut yourself the night of the Rosencrantz murder. With several suspicious people fighting and running all around, you should have noticed. But of course, you wouldn't if you'd spent the entire time cleaning and fixing your hand.
Why on earth would he lie about an alibi that he already had?
He needed an alibi for Guildenstern, not Rosencrantz. He saw Jane a month back when Mr. Black was killed. They needed alibis for then, not later.
That makes sense. His daughter backed up his story, didn't she? That means she lied to the police too.
If she wasn't with the witness, she couldn't have been anywhere. She had to agree with whatever he came up with to stay safe. But now neither he nor Jane can be accounted for during the Black murder.
Objection.
Strictly speaking, he's still yet to prove anything. Aye, I'll admit the alibis for Guildenstern's looking a bit tad weak. But as long as I've got an airtight story for one murder, all's well.
What do you have to say about your whereabouts for the Guildenstern case now?
Precisely the same as before, minus getting cut. I left the house for just a few minutes, and then came right back. You might even say it works better for me this way. Don't know why I didn't think of it before. The same culprit killed both victims. Is that it? Well, as you two have shown, Jane and me have got some great alibis for Mr. Rosencrantz. And until you prove me wrong, for Mr. Guildenstern too. I did just prove that. Why did he lie about something so simple even the judge saw it? Now he might be arrested for perjury. Why would he make such an easily spotted mistake? Could it be just a slip-up? I don't think so. Mr. Hood's been extremely clever up until now. If it was just a slip-up, why is he smiling?
Bad feeling. I've got a really bad feeling.
Me too. He meant for us to call out his lie.
But why make himself and Jane look guilty?
Don't you see? He didn't. I just proved they have an alibi. And like he said, I didn't even discredit his actual story. In fact, I strengthened it. Because Francisca and I proved it together, nobody's going to ever question any of it. In the jury's eyes, neither could possibly be the killer.
Bad feeling just got worse. Do you still think he's covering up?
Do I? Why else would he be pressing like this? A perjury sentence seems much better than one for murder. If that's the case, it would be completely rational to throw himself under the bus. With as little evidence as I have, I could never accuse either of them. Nobody else realizes it, but he still is running this trial.
The witness has admitted to perjury. Will the prosecution wish to amend their stance?
Why should we? He says he saw two people. One may or may not have been the suspect. And there is still the matter of Rosencrantz.
Aye, the Horter one was there too.
She was not the killer. We've already accused that man.
Nobody is getting convicted until we have some answers. Witness, how can you accuse her of killing Rosencrantz? Where were you to see it? Oi, thought I was cutting my hand, he said. Exactly. If the bottle incident happened then, and you stayed in your house, you wouldn't have had a clue what was going on outside. I know she was there. I know she was connected somehow. I know she's a liar. The argument is that the one at both crimes must be the killer. That is either her or your client.
Witness, I have a proposal to make.
Aye?
The prosecution will hold off on indicting you for perjury, but only if you can clear this up for us. You will testify thoroughly on any theories you have on Gladys Porter. Once the defense has disproven everything, the court will have no choice. We'll be back down to only a single suspect.
And if he doesn't prove me wrong?
Oh, he will. But if he doesn't...
You got a deal, ma'am. Why don't we quit all the beating around the bush then? I know you can't disprove me seeing her in black, so it's time for something different. Let's go on with Mr. Rosencrantz. Gladys Porter's your killer. No matter what you think, I know enough to see that. Aye, Gladys Porter killed this Rosencrantz fella. Why else would she lie in court? To save herself. She killed the lad. The same person must be responsible for both deaths. Either her or your client. It's one of the two.
This will do nicely. The defense wants Gladys Porter cleared just as much as I do. Once he's done that, we will be back to a single suspect, and a guilty verdict. What are you waiting for, Phoenix Wright? I want the woman removed from the suspicion immediately. I want my conviction.
Drawing attention to Isarian so Francisco would side with him. Just my luck. If I clear Miss Porter, we're back to square one. The trial's over. I need to make sure they both get through this next testimony. You don't know for sure who you saw. You even said yourself you didn't recognize either the man or the woman. For Guildenstern? Even so, it seems to me the people at the Rosencrantz murder were all accounted for. Porter, the neighbor, and Rosencrantz himself. They're your only three suspects, lad. There was a gap when Jameson was alone. Porter admitted this. That leaves an opening for a new person to... You might as well drag in Sasquatch to testify. If there were another person there, the prosecution would have found him already.
If there was evidence of a fourth person, we would not be having this conversation. We're down to the defendant and his accuser. Choose carefully, Phoenix Wright.
Surely there's an option C in here somewhere. This whole argument is still only touching on things we've discussed with him. If I'm going to trip him up, it has to be something he couldn't lie about. There's plenty of that. It's just a matter of what goes where. I forgot what happened here. You didn't see that. Didn't need to. It's basic logic, lad. The killer needs to be at both crime scenes. That's what the prosecution says. On my count, 3 people were at the second murder, counting Rosencrantz. He's dead, so that leaves 2. 2 suspects you have. I'd choose wisely if I were you. We already know why she lied. It was to get the defendant arrested. That would be what she said, aye? Wouldn't you, if the reality was that you killed the man? The woman wouldn't just a witness. She's your killer. The perjury I can't argue with. And Jimmy. Would Ms. Porter really kill him? No way on earth. I need to ask more about... Why do you suppose she would kill Mr. Jameson? How should I know? All I know is it happened. Besides, a motive might complete a case, but he can do fine without it. That depends. Under the right circumstance, a lack of motive might be just what I need. What should I do? I'll disprove just that. Ms. Porter didn't have a motive to kill him. Fire tap. Save. Oh wait, no. I think it was the, where is his profile? There we go. Dang. Nope. Oh, wait. Her testimony. Porter was helping Mr. Jameson. She admitted he lured her there, but it certainly wasn't to kill him. You're just taking her word for it? You need some more proof than that. Tell me, can you truly show they were working together on anything? Jameson had Interpol set up a wiretap in the defendant's home. How is Porter connected with that? She must be. I learned it from her.
Agent Webb requested permission to tap the phone line. If Gladys Porter knew about it, she must have been working with him.
Simply put, Mr. Hood, she wouldn't want him dead. Not when they had a common enemy. I'll concede, for the time being.
The witness's argument is weaker without a given motive. Let's continue.
Thank you, witness, for your help. Let it be known Gladys Porter had no motive. But there was one man who did. As the defense has said, Jameson helped track the suspect. He must have found out. What a perfect reason to kill someone.
I stepped right into that.
You give up? Don't worry, I'll make it quick and painless. This will be over soon.
This is a weak argument. You still have no proof beyond your word that she was with Mr. Black. For your last proof, there was a woman. Who am I to argue with the defense? If you want to accuse someone new, be my guest. You'll lose, though. Give me a bit of credit, Mr. Wright. I'm a smart man. If I thought you could call me out on a lie, would I risk it? I'd only do it if there was some pressing matter. You know I can't confront you yet. I can't lose my head and jump in too far. I still have enough to put him in his place for now. Alright. There's no evidence proving she did it. I'll have to check with Madam Prosecutor. However, I was too busy straightening my hand. Couldn't say if there was. Still doing that whole ignorance act. But there should be something pointing one way or the other. What should I do? I don't see anything for now. I should keep looking elsewhere. I don't even know what I clicked on. When did she have a chance to kill Mr. Jameson? Ha! Oh, you're rich. Weren't you on the Blooming Witness? I'd say being on the crime scene is a damn good opportunity. Porter ran away for a few minutes to chase Mr. Yossarian. But does that leave any time before or after? What should I do? Save. I'll disprove just that. Ms. Porter didn't have an opportunity to kill Ms. Jameson. Mr. Okay, not that. Oh, right. I'll disprove just that. This evidence shows she's not the killer. This shovel is the murder weapon, where it proves Ms. Porter didn't kill Mr. Jameson. Aye, and how's that? There's one important thing to realize about it. This shovel was used to kill both victims. These men died a month apart. Witness, whose shovel is this? Looks to be neighbors. I borrowed it on occasion. Yes, it's not Ms. Porter's, and that's the point. You'd have to be an idiot to kill somebody and hide the murder weapon in another person's house. Maybe once if you're desperate, but twice? Not in your life. It would have been discovered long before she could use it again. Ah, the same weapon?
Doesn't sound like Ms. Porter could reasonably use it twice. The shovel would have been found, so she wouldn't have used it.
Porter's prints are not on the shovel, but guess whose are?
Back to this.
It would not be amiss for the suspect to hide it in his own home. His shovel, coated in blood and lying in his basement. How could he not be responsible?
Okay, think. How can I get out of this? He's right. It was stashed in a cellar. Something's odd about that. What did we just discuss with the witness? If my client knew it was used on Mr. Black, he wouldn't just keep it lying around. It was already a murder weapon.
How should I know why he kept it?
You don't have an answer? Well, neither do I, because it doesn't make sense. What killer keeps a weapon with his prints in plain sight for over a month? No one, because that would be stupid. He didn't know Black had been killed with it.
Nice try, but his prints proved he killed Jameson. We don't need to know why he was foolish enough not to dispose of the shovel.
Fingerprints on top of the bloodstains. I remember that. I must side with the prosecution again.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I was onto something. I just know it. You used to be a lawyer, Mr. Hood. Here's a pop quiz for you. What are the 3 things you can use to convict a suspect? That would be motive, opportunity, and evidence. Seems you still remember some. But here's something you've apparently forgotten. Are you familiar with the phrase, beyond a reasonable doubt? Rings a bell. It usually applies to a person's guilt, but I think now fits just as well. There is only so far you can stretch your story before it stops being credible. Fine, shall we get it over with? Do you admit defeat? Aye, I'll do that. I've had enough. She didn't kill Rosencrantz. And by extension, nor Guildenstern.
That's it! If Gladys Porter is not the murderer, we have no choice but to give that guilty sentence. You two played your parts very well. Everything has been wrapped up perfectly.
We agreed there could only be 2 suspects.
No, there was only one to begin with.
I've delivered Misty Asarian right to her. We're back to 1 suspect. Is that still true? After today, it isn't. Stop! It's not time for the verdicts yet.
Will you cut it out? Whatever possessed you to go this far?
He's no longer the only suspect. Have you forgotten everything we just spoke about? There's still one more person who might be the culprit. Mr. Hood's daughter, Jane. Shut your trap! Me lass couldn't have...
Silence, both of you! How dare you do this? You will not muddy this case any further. Both murders are connected. I thought we agreed on that.
Jane has no alibi for the Black's murder. The witness saw a woman and tried to cover for her by throwing suspicion on Ms. Porter. I don't know if the 2 deaths are connected or not, but I do know this. Jane also had an opportunity to kill Mr. Jameson. Mr. Hood, you're lying. Ah, am I? Yes. Am I? Yes. I mean, maybe. That's possible, I suppose. You don't seem to be anywhere near the right track to proving it. Well, I tried calling him out and failed miserably. Anderson's autopsy, 9 p.m. Double. Ah, right, yes. Both Ms. Porter and my client left the crime scene together. They were missing for several minutes while Jimmy was alone. Ms. Porter claims he was dead when she came back. The defendant was nowhere to be seen. Where were Jane and Mr. Hood during that time?
The witness says she was in his house with him.
You still trust him? This lying, perjuring man who deliberately misled you?
Doesn't mean she killed him.
No, but it does throw that tiny sliver of doubt that I need. Beyond a reasonable doubt, Francisca, can you prove somebody else didn't kill him while the other 2 were chasing each other?
Fool! I don't have to. He is guilty of sin, and you just can't see it. The jurors will decide his fate. Your Honor, now.
Now? Does the prosecution rest?
We've covered everything there is. If the defense is so cocky, let's see how this ends.
Uh-oh. I think I pushed her too far. I have no idea who the jury would side with at this point.
Perhaps it is time then. Now, without any further ado... I guess I should be used to last-minute objections by now. Well, who was it?
It was me. I got your message.
Ah, yes. Did you locate Miss Porter?
Yes.
Has she been made aware that she was accused?
No. Gladys is dead.
What? Dead?
I had to look all over for her when she didn't respond to my calls. She wasn't home or anywhere. I decided to check the office one last time, and it was locked. But then I got a whiff of something behind the door. It smelled like blood.
When was this?
The record for her electronic door locks put the last entry at 3:21 p.m. yesterday.
3:20. But that's before.
She was dead before we even went to the office. She couldn't answer us because... When did you last speak with her?
It was in the detention center. She told us she'd been looking into some murder case with Jameson. I think she must have known too much.
She confessed to working with him during the trial. Was that it?
Francisca, you have a dead state's witness on your hands. You know it has to tie in somehow.
A dead witness? It almost has to be connected. That's how it seems to me at first glance, at least.
Tell me this isn't enough doubt. Even for you.
Extend the trial. Search Gladys Porter's office. Find out why she was killed. But if nothing is found, I want a guilty verdict first thing tomorrow morning.
Court will adjourn.
I knew something bad would happen. I tried telling her not to leave. I did try. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Will these bodies never stop piling up? Miss Porter, Jimmy, Mr. Black, and Agent Webb. Is it too late for me too? I have a better chance of unraveling this than anybody else at this point. Whoever killed Miss Porter did it for her connection to Jimmy. So many things have happened these past few months. Sir Galante, Mr. Webb's death and Cody's, Crane, and now this. I have this terrible feeling they're all related. Who is behind it all? And cutting it.